bake
I've
them?
always wondered about that. 'Cause,
Call Lisa.
You know, I go on these field
You know they're
trips with
from my
kids
house, I
and-
bake them, Lisa
Not that
doesn't
it's
bake.
breaking the
She
bank,
doesn't
but
bake.
if it did come up,
Yeah,
But she makes
That way-
great avocado
definitely
smoothies.
district business.
well,
You driving out tonight?
like I said,
Yep.
better to ask for
Thank
good
you.
It's better going that way than this way right now.
ask permission. Isn't it?
Oh, is it up?
Yeah.
It passes
I
still.
think it's the other way
All
around.
Better
right.
to ask for
Striping, it's all
permission
up
than
I'm gonna
forget.
Oh,
start
yeah,
our
that's
meeting
We're
now.
backed up on that work.
Boys and girls,
Yes, yes?
like, I hate that. I'd like to call our meeting to order, if I can get a motion,
So move.
Second.
okay? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That was Jose and Kent. Everybody is, well, no, we have one member absent, Barbara, and we anticipate she will be here shortly. The members present include Kent Crosby, Penny Edmondson, Jose Barrios, and Rosie Hinojos. Do we have any community comments before closed session?
You're not.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to start
So
closed
moved.
session. Rosie and
Second.
Jose, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll go in closed session. Brett's not able to be here.
I'm gonna keep checking the
Yeah, it's just a,
She comes
it's a
in.
brown
And I'm just scanning, do we have a student in the audience? Which student is Chloe? Just happens to be on the top. Chloe, could you lead us in the pledge, please?
Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Was that with the pause or without the pause?
I did it Kent's way, which
You
is
did
the
it
right
Kent's
way.
didn't you?
Chloe, thank you. Good job. At this time, I will accept a motion to approve the agenda.
You have
So
to,
moved.
real quick, before you do that, the closed items from closed session have to be read out.
Oh, okay.
The closing
Oh,
out.
okay. All right, everyone get comfortable. I have a few items to read. In closed session, the Board of Education took action to uphold the superintendent's recommendation that pursuant to Ed Code Section 44929.1, certificated employees 18886 and 19199 and 19252 will be released and not be reelected for the 23-24 school year. The board has directed the district superintendent or superintendent's designee to send out the appropriate legal notices to these teachers. The motion was made by Jose, seconded by Rosie, and all approved. In closed session, the Board of Education took action on the approval of a second addendum to the co-superintendent's contract for Elvin Moman with regard to the payments made subject to Section C.1A and B. The parties agreed to amend Section C.1B as follows. The district owes the co-superintendent $86,459.72. The total amount will be placed in a tax-sheltered account of Mr. Moment's choice and paid out in 2 installments. The first payment will be made before June 30th, 23, and the second payment will be made on January 2nd of 24. The motion was made by Jose, seconded by Rosie, and all voted to approve. In closed session, the Board of Education took action on the approval of payment to Dr. Ron Williams for earned compensation, Section 16B vacation, in the amount of $294,304. The total amount will be placed in a tax-sheltered account for Dr. Williams's choice and paid out in 5 installments, beginning August 1st of 23 and ending August 1st of 27. This motion was made by Rosie, seconded by Barbara, and unanimously approved. In closed session, the Board of Education took action on a memorandum of understanding between CSEA and the VVUHSD to amend the school calendar for 4 employees to switch their spring break to align with Excelsior's calendar. VVUHSD provides transportation and health services for students with special needs that attend Excelsior. The affected classified employees will switch their spring break from March 20th through March 24th to April 10th through April 14th of 23. This motion was made by Jose, seconded by Rosie, and unanimously approved. In closed session, the Board of Education took action on a memorandum of understanding between VVUHSD and VVTA regarding Article 3.8, whereas it is mutually agreed that the district will pay the bargaining unit members hourly per diem rate for assigned extra duties for the 23-24 school year. I made this motion, it was seconded by Jose, and it was unanimously approved. In closed session, the Board of Education took action on the memorandum of understanding between VVUHSD and VVTA regarding Article 1.1, whereas it is mutually agreed that certificated employees who are hired during the 23-24 school year shall be appropriately placed on the salary schedule with no maximum years of service credit. It was agreed that certificated employees hired during the 2021 and 21-22 school years and are currently still employed shall have their salary adjusted permanently and be appropriately placed on the salary schedule pursuant to Article 1.2, commencing the first day of the 23-24 school year. This motion was made by Rosie, seconded by Kent, and also unanimously approved. All right. So, at this time, I will accept a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Made by Rosie and seconded by Jose. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed unanimously. Public comments. 4.1 Superintendent Student Advisory Council Report. We have 2 students who've come to visit us. Chloe Reyes and Ilea. Am I saying that correctly? Ilea. Nice to meet you. And Farias? Farias. Okay, thank you. Would you two like to come and address us at the podium?
Before they start, I just want to go ahead. You pass that. Is to let you know that they're from Hook and Superintendent Advisory Committee, and they provide valuable information to us at the cabinet level about really what goes on at the school site. Can't be more proud of the 2 of them. They're outspoken, and they demand the presence of the room when they speak.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for leading us in the pledge. That was very nice. I'd like to have a student do that. Thank you. Oh, are you an avid student? Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Again.
Hey, how are you? Weren't you? It's so cool. Yeah.
Shake your hand.
One of my students. Yeah, just one of my students. Oh, cool. He's now second to a big girl.
Now you have your own.
Hello, we are Chloe and
Hi, Leah.
and we go to the best junior high, the only junior high in our district.
For now.
Junior high school.
The
We
only
are
junior
very happy to be selected for this opportunity and share our needs, our triumphs, and to help our school. Our first opportunities, we were able to discuss some things that needed to be addressed at our school. We discussed the internet issues, our lack of elective choices, and the grading system, as well as having more events around careers, our honor classes, and new PE topics. We were able to explain what we would like to have happen, and also make plans to fix some issues.
For example, we had some issues with the amount of trash around the campus and the lack of trash cans. Our school has received 12 new trash cans. We have also had major issues with our Wi-Fi that directly affects our ability to do classwork. We have many new access points installed to boost our internet. We then asked for more PE supplies, which were also ordered. Lastly, we have very few choices for our electives, and we have added recently junior ROTC for the first time in Hook's history and financial literacy classes.
Safety and security is very important to us. We brought up vaping, drugs, lack of janitors, cameras, and having more drug dog visits. Up to date, we have had more security guards on campus, including sub 4 hours being out. There have been lots of searches for vapes, drugs, Vita, the drug dogs. We have had more janitors, including our subs 4 hours that are absent. We have also have a sub librarian, finally.
We would like to say a big thank you to Mr. Cole and our board members, district office staff, and Hook staff for listening to us and taking our suggestions to heart. We appreciate all of the issues you have addressed so far. We are doing many great things here at Hook, including our 4 initiatives.
PBIS, our positive behavior reward system.
And AVID school-wide college and career readiness program.
Advisory, our social emotional learning program.
And then lastly, we have PLCs, our data-driven curriculum and assessment.
Moving forward, we hope to continue this open line of communication between our schools and all of you.
Thank you, but this is all we had that we discussed since first day 1 to now. And if you would like to listen to our suggestions furthermore, you may. Would you like to hear our suggestions?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So if possible, if you're able to hire any like military people who are already retired, since they have more experience than rather normal security, and they have more experience with drugs and vapes, and I'm just wondering if you could just hire some like more people to secure our place, even though we already have enough security in our campus, but I would just like have more advanced military security and all of that.
To monitor the students' behavior, maybe we could have more like counseling people. So like we could have more counseling visits.
And to train staffs on campus for any emergency responses, have procedures, recognize any health issues during campus, and just like help the students out, whether they need help but they're not talking about it whatsoever.
That's it for now.
Well, for security, another suggestion to help with security is to enhance the perimeter, like the fences in our school, because some of them have broke down and torn apart. And like it's easy for people to just get into our campus and just, start a shooting or something. And that's it.
I think those are great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what I got was your suggestion to hire retired military people for security because they're trained in that. Counseling sessions are needed. Our students need to have more access to counselors, and fencing and the security in the perimeter needs to be tightened up. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Good job. I don't see that we have any public comments, so we'll skip the guidelines. Move straight into the VVTA report. I see Mike back there. Yes.
All right. Good evening, board members and cabinet. My name is Mike Mayo. I'm Victor Valley Teachers Association president. We currently have 489 members, and if the TAs get ratified by the board tonight, then that means that we could very likely have many more at the start of next year. All right, so first thing on the list, community schools. I want to congratulate VVUHSD, CSEA, VVTA, the students and parents that we serve, and our entire community for being the first district in the high desert to earn California's planning grant for community schools. We really are the first ones to do it up here, and so I think we're actually on the right track, and that's something that we should actually celebrate. Since last I spoke to our board, I have had the chance to work closely with colleagues around Southern California to see firsthand what an emerging community school program at Anaheim Union High School District looks like. What's nice is that this was a Union High School district. There aren't too many of those. We are one of those, and so they're serving the same kinds of students that we are from 7th to 12th grade, which was very helpful. And they also have a very high Hispanic population, something else that our district shares. There, we were able to visit Sycamore Junior High School. It is a functioning community school campus. In the community school task force, our latest meeting, I could tell that Dr. Yee and Mr. Williford, they had done their homework to understand community schools better. And they did a great job, honestly, helping to inform others on the team of what a community school is, because it still gets confusing sometimes. Moving forward, I want to continue to emphasize the community school model of shared leadership and inviting other voices from other campuses to become part of the conversation, as well as others with community influence and resources. I loved having students there, parents, that way we have some more community voice. We are serving the community, and part of that community is going to be our students. And so something I would like to see in the future is students from other sites too. Parents from other sites too. And it's not to disregard the needs and the assets that the two SIM students had. It's to make sure that the other voices are also heard. All right, March 8th meeting. VVTA's executive board officers look forward to meeting with some of the district's administrative team and CCA about a week from now. As far as conferences, the Good Teaching Conference is coming up starting tomorrow. And thank you, Dr. Yee, for sending me the updated list. I appreciate that. The CTA Equity and Human Rights Conference takes place at the middle of this month, March 17th through 19th, and we have a few members that will be going to that. Negotiations. I am pleased to report that VVTA just completed its members' voting of the negotiated tentative agreements. It passes VVTA's ratification with 99.2% in approval. I thank VVTA's election committee and specifically Sandy Barrientos, our election chair, for getting this task done so quickly and efficiently. It was really well done. I must also thank our negotiation team for seeing this through, and again, specifically Jared Nichols, our chief negotiator. I feel compelled to thank VVUHSD's team too, for making this process far easier than I have ever witnessed in the past. We appreciate that the district actually came to the table with something real. You know, it's a challenge that I dropped down many times, and it's one that was actually met, and so I appreciate it. We now await the board's decision to ratify the TAs. It's in your hands now.
Oh, all right.
All right, hiring practices. Jennifer Lovelace was speaking in my place in February. I couldn't be here at the last board meeting, and she mentioned this, and it does bear repeating that we need to hire and hire quickly, especially if we're going to have a reduction in class sizes, especially for 7th and 8th grade. We're going to need to hire as fast as possible, and like I said, you just had to keep telling ourselves that, hire, hire, hire. All right, I did speak to Mr. Coles about some issues. One of the first ones that I had actually forgotten about, and he reminded me about it, was specific to the insurance. We did have a few members who had their dental insurance dropped for some reason, even though they were consistently employed here. And so it was a concern when we saw just one at first, and we thought, well, okay, that can happen. It just snuck through the cracks, and then then we could get it fixed. But then there ended up being 4 that were verified. And I already brought this up with Mr. Coles, and I know he's looking into that. We also discussed Sims instructional days. I know there's a concern because they have missed. Remind me, it was 3, correct? Okay, it was 3 instructional days that are missed because of the gas leak, and that was a huge issue. You know, I understand one gas leak starts and you realize, oh no, there are problems everywhere. And so I'm glad that it was handled quickly, but it still was at the cost of 3 instructional days. And so as soon as we can get information on that, we'd appreciate it. Lakeview Leadership Academy and VVHS, there are some cleaning issues. And I know that some of our site reps, and the only reason why I come here to report it now, some of our site reps actually have tried to take some steps to try to address these with the site administration. Now, I'm not blaming anything on the site administration because honestly, the site administration looks like it was trying to do the right thing. They had some procedures. They actually had some procedures in place to try to address some of the issues as far as clean restrooms and things like that. I'm not going to get into some of the gross details, but there were some issues there, and hopefully those can be remedied. I did put out an email to Mr. Casino in case he wants to discuss this further, and VVTA is happy to help with any solutions to try to resolve the issue as far as cleanliness on the campus. We don't mind trying to help you resolve this. We just want cleaner campuses for the students and the staff.
Mike, do you mean Victor?
Oh yeah, Victor Valley High School. What did I say?
Lakeview?
Oh yeah, and Lakeview.
That's the principal.
Lakeview is a slightly different issue. In regards to all the rain that we've been getting recently, it actually stormed well enough to break open the ceiling over at Lakeview Leadership Academy of one of the teachers' classrooms, and so that teacher, of course, informed administration, and it was nice because administration did at least provide a place for that member to actually try to teach class. But some damage was done to some of the district's property and to the members' property. And the room still smells musty, and it was still really wet on the floor. And so I just wonder if steps were taken to try to remedy that. And I know WASC is coming in really soon. They're going to see that damage, and they're going to be in that classroom. So, and I think that is an issue that, was there an attempt to try to get the stuff fixed? And that's all. We just want to make sure that stuff gets addressed very quickly, because I'm sure that it's not going to be a nice environment for the students to be sitting in or our member. Goodwill. independent study. There were some concerns. Again, I shared those with Mr. Coles, and I know he's going to try to look into that. And this leaves me with just saying, I thank you for your time. I'm very impressed with how quickly the negotiations were done. And I hope that we can continue moving in that direction in the future. And everybody have an excellent night.
Thank you. CSEA report, Tanya?
Good evening, Board, Superintendent, and Cabinet. My report is going to be very brief tonight. I just want to speak about the negotiation. I, as well as Mike, had a very good experience this time. It went very quickly, and CSEA is happy where it's going, and 90% of our issues have been resolved in negotiations, so we are happy to say that. Other than that, that's pretty much it for tonight. We still have some issues on the CSEA front that we're working with Mr. Coles and some of the district administration through those problems, but that's it for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. All right, board members, at this time, I will have you look at the consent items 6.1 all the way to 6.39 and ask if there's any polls, anything you want to discuss separately.
Motion to approve?
Okay, motion has been made by Rosie to approve.
Second.
Second by Barbara.
Yeah, Barbara's.
Okay. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that was unanimous. Moving on to action item 7.1, certificated personnel report.
So moved.
Barbara
Second.
moved. And Jose seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That was
Just-
approved.
Just want to
unanimously.
just say one comment to that kind of relates to what VVTA's comment was. What was just approved in the section for the certificated was the staffing ratios for the middle school. So come next week, we will start recruiting and get that done. So you just approved that. You know, all of that was already included in the budget. So we'll start hiring. And that process will start.
And Mike, all of VVT, I want you to hear what he just said. They're starting to recruit next week, so that's exciting. So that's good.
something new, I'm sure. You know
Yeah.
that.
Well, Mr. Coles, would you please also repeat the staffing ratio? That's such an important,
We're gonna get there.
okay.
You're gonna vote on it, and we'll talk about it.
She wants all the fun at once.
I know. It's gonna be delayed here. We're gonna get to it.
Item 7.2, classified personnel report.
So
I'll
moved.
entertain a motion. Rosie,
Second.
second by Jose. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passed unanimously. Item 7.3, AB 1200 with VVTA and CSEA for the 22-23 and the 23-24 school years.
So moved.
Second.
Jose and Rosie, discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passed unanimously. 7.4, a tentative agreement with VVTA for Articles 1, 3, and 16.
So moved. Second.
Rosie and Kent, any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that passes unanimously.
So that's the section here is that we're in 7.4, right? That was just yeah. So what you just saw in there is the class size is going after next year, and so what was just approved is an agreement for the class sizes of 25 to 1 in core classes in our middle schools, 32 to 1 or other core, and some specialty classes, and then there's also a reduction of PE in there too. So I think the process and the mindset is we have to do something different. Right, we need the greater connection between our teachers and our students is going to make the biggest impact with targeted interventions, a real focus on literacy, and really this mindset of autonomy back to the teachers with this accountability piece that, in a partnership about, okay, what do we best do to support what happens in the classroom, and so that there's the freedom there and there's that great connection that can take place. And so I'm really pleased that we're able to do that pretty quickly. We all want the same thing. Everybody does, and that's in addition to opening the new middle school. We see smaller school sizes at the junior high, middle school levels, as well as the smaller class sizes that make a real impact to the work that's being done. So, in addition to the raises that were approved. So,
Well, I think that's just as important, and it benefits our students, and our teachers are pleased, and that's wonderful.
Well, and I think it goes back to, we're going to vote on CACA here in a second, but it really is for everybody, is that everybody wants this to be a great place to come to work. We want it to be a great place for the kids to come to school to learn. Will it be perfect? It's not. It'll never be perfect, but it will be a really great place, for all of us to do that, and just to continue with the trajectory, that's been established, and to continue to go in that direction. So,
Thank you. Item 7.5, tentative agreement with CSEA for Article 7, which includes pay and allowances.
So moved.
I heard Kent and
Ken was
Jose.
first. Ken was first, yeah.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes unanimously.
and then before you even move on with CSCA too, there were some small things that, regarding some of the shoe allowances that were, included in this tentative agreement. But the other thing is, there's a lot. We have a pretty aggressive spring season of negotiations, with some pretty complicated things that I think we're continue to bring forward to you pretty swiftly, that will continue to benefit all our classified employees too, benefit management and extra support and extra days, and some things that they've been going after for quite some time. I think we'll continue to, provide that level of support to the teaching and learning process, throughout all our schools in the district office. So look forward to bringing you more agreements, throughout the spring with CCA.
Okay. Item 7.6, salary increase for management, supervisory, and confidential employees.
So moved.
Second.
Rosie and Barbara, any discussion? Including from Mr. Coles. Anything to discuss about that?
No, I mean, this is that what you voted on so far is the agreement for our certificated to get the raise, classified to get the raise, and now this is the mechanism that will allow all management, and then the next ones will also then you have to vote on your management, the executive level for contracts each individually. But this would basically put everybody from executive cabinet down below would get the same raises that everybody else gets.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes unanimously. Item 7.7, a contract addendum for the assistant superintendent of business services.
So
Would you like to
moved.
speak?
Oh.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
So
Kent
moved.
will make the motion,
Second.
second by Jose. Would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, so the way that the law works is you have to provide like an oral summary of the compensation. And so this is related to Shanti's contract. As much as we love coming to work and doing the job, we also like to get paid. And so basically at the end, the summary is that it's the same compensation that everybody else would be getting to related to this. So the readout reads, is compensation pursuant to Article 3.3, the assistant superintendent shall receive a salary increase at the same percentage amount as given to other management employees effective January 3rd. January 3rd was the date of her contract. 5% ongoing shall be added to the assistant superintendent's current annual salary, and then effective the January 3rd, 2023, assistant superintendent shall receive 5% off the 22-23 year base salary as a one-time off-schedule payment. Effective July 1, 23, 5% ongoing shall be added to the assistant superintendent's annual salary, and effective July 1, 23, the assistant superintendent shall receive 5% off the 23-24 base year as a one-time scheduled payment. So that is the same thing. And that employees shall be required to render 261 days, 12 months of service to the district, each annual pay period to this addendum, inclusive of holidays, sick leave, and vacation. And to determine the assistant superintendent daily rate of pay, the parties agree the assistant superintendent's annual base salary shall be divided by 261 days.
So then she'll get that 5% off in July, both years.
Yes, and so the 5%, she'll actually have a two-tiered system because she was a director. So what already has been approved on the last one under management covers her for that one, and then this one would cover her from her contract of assistant superintendent because she didn't have the full year of it. So she's got part as a director, part as the assistant superintendent.
I just want to know when we're going to have the party over at your house. So
Yeah.
it'll be in July. Okay, that's good.
Any other discussion or comments?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes unanimously. Item 7.8, contract addendum for our assistant superintendent of educational services.
So moved. A second.
I heard Jose and then Kent. And I'll leave you to
So,
discuss.
same thing. the executive level, you have to have a readout of the summary, and regardless, it's our goal to always be transparent with the board, our unions, our associations, about what it is, and so this is Dr. Yee's. And so it reads, compensation pursuant to Article 4.2, the employee shall receive the same percentage increase compensation as received by district management team. Effective July 1, 22, 5% ongoing shall be added to the assistant superintendent's current annual salary. Effective July 1, 22, the assistant superintendent shall receive 5% off the 22-23 school year as a one-time off-schedule payment. Effective July 1, 23, 5% ongoing shall be added to the assistant superintendent's annual salary. Effective July 1, 23, assistant superintendent shall receive 5% off her 23-24 school year base as a one-time off-schedule payment. The term of Dr. Yee's employment is 3 years, commencing March 2nd, 23, ending March 1, 26. Assistant superintendent shall be required to render 261 workdays, 12 full months of service to the district each annual pay period covered by this addendum, inclusive of holidays, sick leave, and vacation. To determine the assistant superintendent's daily rate of pay, the parties agree that the assistant superintendent's annual base salary shall be divided by 261 days.
Any comments or questions? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that passes unanimously. Thank you. Barbara and Kent, if you can both sign this and then return this back to me. Item 7.9 is a contract addendum for our superintendent.
I'm not too sure about this one.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Rosie approves.
Second.
Second by Kent. And I will speak on this. And first of all, I'd like to thank you for all the hard work you've done. You've made a team of 6. You've definitely created a culture where we are free to discuss our concerns with you and you listen to each one. We all are very different and we have different points of view, but you consider everything. You keep us in constant communication. I hear from you first when there's something going on at a site, and I appreciate all of that. We all do. Thank you very much. So this the next agenda item addresses the board's open session discussion and possible approval of Addendum 1 to the employment agreement of Superintendent Carl Coles. The addendum is proposed and submitted pursuant to Article 5, Contract Renewal, which allows the superintendent to submit to the board a new contract proposal or amendment to his contract on or before March 15th, 2023. The purpose of this addendum is to modify terms of the agreement with regard to superintendent's term, salary, vacation, holiday, work year, and benefits as set forth in Articles 3, 6, 7, and 9. The term and work year includes the term of Mr. Cole's employment agreement is for 4 years, commencing on March 2nd, 2023, and terminating on March 2nd, 2027. The superintendent shall be required to render 261 workdays, 12 full months of full and regular service to the district each annual period covered by this agreement, inclusive of holidays, sick leave, and vacation. The superintendent shall be entitled to annual vacation days accrued at 2.5 vacation days per month. The superintendent compensation and other terms of employment. Effective September 1st of 2022, 10% ongoing shall be added to superintendent's current annual base salary for 12 months of service. Effective July 1st of 2023, 10% ongoing shall be added to the superintendent's annual base salary for 12 months of service. The district will pay the superintendent a total of $750 per month for the superintendent's automobile allowance, such as acquisition, use, maintenance, and insurance of an automobile, for use of a personal cell phone and installation of high-speed internet connection at home in order to facilitate the conduct of district business, or at the superintendent's request and via written notification to the business office, the superintendent shall receive up to $750 reimbursement in lieu of the allowance described. This concludes the summary of the material terms of the proposed Addendum 1 to the Superintendent Employment Agreement. A copy of this addendum is available from the district office upon request. We've already received a motion and a second from Rosie and Kent. Is there any discussion concerning this
Penny,
contract?
I just would like to say this, that when Carl came in and signed his contract, he actually was making less than the previous superintendent. And I think this is going to rectify that. And from what I understand from talking with both unions, this is okay, because I think that if the rest of us are getting pay increase, well, we're not, but I mean, rest of it.
Well, actually, we are as well.
Oh, yeah, all right, all right.
That's coming up.
But if we're getting the increase, we need to make sure that he is properly compensated too. And so that's why I think that I'm voting for it, so that you need to know that, so, because I've always been tough on remuneration of administrators, so.
Well, this is just bringing them up to our past two
And
superintendents.
particularly him.
There you go, yeah.
Any other conversation? All right. At this time, I'll again call for a vote from each member. So, Rosie, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jose? I vote yes. Barbara?
Aye.
And Kent?
Aye.
Okay. Item 7.10 is board remuneration. I will, even though I know that many of you might not feel comfortable voting for yourself, it can only be voted by us, so we have to make a motion and second if we want to increase our stipend.
So moved, what the heck?
Jose? And a second?
Second.
Barbara? Discussion?
So this just bumps it up to 5%, under the ed code, which is customary to school boards to be able to do that. And the unfortunate part is, in order to even have the school board appreciation month, you have to vote on it, which is always awkward, and you have to vote on these as well. But it is very customary for the board to continue on with everybody else with the cost of living and the cost of doing business that is out there. So this is not
That's okay, we're all Santa Claus anyway.
Yeah,
so-
you go.
All right, any other discussion?
Well, I started out at $250. 1990s.
I don't want to be rude, but what is it now?
$251.
251, okay, there you go. Good. Woo!
That's our kid, money is no object.
All right.
Hold on, we'll get it for you real quick. It's actually, it's $562
Oh, all right, okay.
All right, I'll call for the vote.
a month. Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes unanimously. 7.11, approval of contract for the interim assistant superintendent of human resources. I'll call for, who would like to make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Jose and Rosie. And I'll turn this over to Mr. Coles if you'd like to.
Right, yeah, so
Discuss
this proposal is bring forward, as you know, we went after an assistant superintendent of human resources earlier in the year, and, didn't bring anybody forward for a recommendation at that time. And so, recommendation that is out there is for Mike Williford to become the interim assistant superintendent, to assist and to help with the work in human resources, in addition to the work that he's doing in student services. Him and I, with Ms. Foote, will continue to, serve in that capacity, but this will allow for another layer of help. And because it is an interim assistant superintendent agreement, I have to still read the same thing in order to be transparent about what the contract would read for the significant terms. So the district would employ Mr. Williford to perform the duties as the assistant superintendent or the interim assistant superintendent of human resources, in addition to his current duties as director of student services for a term of March 3rd, 23 through June 30th, 23. At the expiration of this agreement, employee will continue to be employed by the district in his position as director of student services. Employee's work year, including vacation and holidays, will remain the same. Compensation and other terms of employment. The employee shall be compensated his regular pay as director of student services and shall be compensated an additional $10,000 for the period beginning March 3rd through June 30th, divided up among 4 equal payments. This concludes a summary of the material terms of the proposed agreement for the interim assistant superintendent of human resources.
All right, any discussion items or questions? Call for a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that passes unanimously.
I also just want to kind of mention one thing, and I would be absolutely remiss as, really excited about the work that Mr. Williford will be able to help out with human resources, but also Mrs. Foote has stepped up for several months with the work that she's done in helping out with several, aspects of the job, being shorthanded, and really it's all about the entire human resources team, being shorthanded. So, Ms. Foote, would you please stand up so we can at least recognize you for your work?
All right, thank you. Item 7.12, the middle school boundaries. I was a little bit confused. Is this going to be presented by Mike or by Ramon?
Ramoni will
Okay.
start it off.
I'm sorry, I was
All right.
confused.
No problem. Good evening, Board of Trustees. This evening, Mike Williford will share with you a proposal to update. Did you almost trip?
I was confused.
He's going to be sharing with you a proposal to update our middle school boundaries to take effect next school year. Mike will provide information we use to determine the new boundaries. He's also going to talk about kind of the number of students we're expecting to receive at each of our feeder elementary school. So Mike is passing you the just very short slides, and he's going to cover this evening. All your Mike.
All right, good evening, Board President, board members, Executive Cabinet, of course, Superintendent Coles. This is a short presentation on exactly, the middle school boundaries for the 23-24 school year and the kind of the rationales behind that. Next slide, please. So with that, again, this is the slide you have in front of you. It's also on the screen. What we did, the information we used, of course, to figure out the exact, most equal ratio for all the school sites, of course, looking at distance from the school. Working with transportation on the routes to make sure, of course, that we weren't encroaching anymore as far as our routes are concerned on what we already have. And also our potential incoming students from Victor Elementary. These here are actually these numbers in that right-hand column where it says Hook Junior High, Lakeview, and middle school, of course, number 3. Those green numbers are actually the number of 6th graders that are currently sitting in seats. This is not from a guess. This is actually, we called every single elementary school and said, how many 6th graders do you have? And they have basically 1,764 kids that will be coming, potentially coming to our school district next year. And again, those numbers are broken down by school site. And again, we're trying to make it as balanced as possible in regards to all 3 middle schools having at least similar numbers in that first 7th grade class. Next slide, please. So with that, this is actually the plot point map that we use as far as where these kids are located at. And as you look on this, now there's this triangle kind of up there at the top, which will match the board agenda item as far as the map is on the board agenda item. And there's that little rectangle block-shaped trapezoid on the right there. Those are the pieces that we had to use to help bring in the proper number of students to balance out all those classes and all those areas. And again, by taking in distance from schools and everything. So that's what we use to make sure that the boundaries are set most appropriately as possibly. Now, is it going to be great? Is there going to be some people upset with it? There's going to be, we can't please everybody. But again, though, this is the most fair, accurate map we can come up with to make sure that all 3 middle schools will be balanced moving forward.
That was a lot of work.
That was
to
easy.
compile all this. I mean, this is phenomenal. A new school opening up in a year.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, the building's there, but it has been empty for so long. Brett, your crew has done an amazing job to get it ready. I drive by that every single day between my school and my home, and I see everything that's being done, except the trees. And I appreciate everything that you're doing. You've done so much. Thank you. And your team is working really hard. And not only are they going to be ready for 7th graders, but then in a year, doubling it by the 7th graders promoting to 8th grade and a new batch of 7th graders coming.
Correct. And actually, I know the map's not up anymore. If you look, actually, you can kind of see where middle school 3 is at. That's that little kind of brown rectangle shape right there and that little cutout. We're actually, that school, those other plot points are actually in Adelanto Elementary School District. So there's a strong opportunity, too, for us to actually, have some more interest transfers to that new middle school. Of course, with our class size reduction that's happening down to 25-1, naming the school, as well as, of course, naming the mascot. So there's an opportunity for that school to even have even more impact as far as even pulling some kids from all of that surrounding area as well.
So if we do that, and that's very likely, knowing that we're going to offer 25-1 class size ratio, are we prepared to hire more teachers quickly and more staff quickly as soon as those interdistricts come in? We're prepared to accommodate all of these potential students?
Yeah, the one that was read before, and some of the language we're doing with both associations, it's kind of cumbersome in moving kids around and when to do it and everything. And there's never going to be a perfect science to hiring. And so the new staffing formula will allow us, as students come in, we know exactly when we need to hire and when to put them in place. So the issue isn't going to be a matter of us not knowing what we're going to need. The issue will become the recruitment process of being up here in the high desert. Some other aspects have been added to a contract too that will entice us to be able to recruit, some really good teachers. And so it won't be us saying, it really will be a matter of us getting the people in place how fast we can make it happen.
And to echo Mike's comment, Kent's comment, that you're recruiting starting tomorrow, opening it up.
Yeah, I mean, it probably will get out like early next week, but yeah, I mean, we know what we need, and so we'll get it on EdJoin, and we'll start with the recruitment process, and,
Okay. And when will the transfer window open up for current employees?
not sure yet, we'll get back to you on that, but it'll definitely open up too.
That should be first, because
Sure,
you may get a lot of people are eager to go to a new school.
yeah.
No matter what, they just want to be at a new school, and I can't blame them a bit, because that's going to look like a new school by the time, Brett and his crew get done.
Well, our two students spoke accurately when they said our district's only junior high. So, I mean, because Lakeview really does go through 12th grade, so it's too bad they left. We could have told them, we've got one more, it's on its way.
And there's one side note too, just be aware, our enrollment has actually already opened up in Kobe's office down in Central Enrollment. We already have 80 students already enrolled for next year. And we've only been open, I said, for about 2 days now, because we opened on the 28th. And actually 3 of those are interdistrict transfers from Adelanto Elementary to the new school.
Wow.
And that's why I'm saying we're going to change the culture up here. So
So
Well,
the
my
first
specific
lady get an
school is-
award?
Oh, I'm sorry.
First lady should get a sticker. We were number one, that kind of deal.
The school where I teach Discovery is a feeder school for the new one, and I've told many of the parents, and they're excited. We need to get the word out, though, because our teachers don't know at Victor L. They're not aware of it, so I'm excited to share that with them. Any questions?
I stopped by the middle school here a couple of weeks ago, and I got to tell you, it's really looking good. They were in the process of tearing up the flooring in the cafeteria, and I talked to the gentleman that was working there. Yeah, it really looks great in there. The trees are all down.
But no trees.
No trees. But it really does
I
look.
understand, Penny.
It really
I love trees,
does look
too.
good out there. So thank you for the job that you're doing.
All right, well, thank you very much. So at this time, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that passes unanimously. 7.13, an award for a bid to Frontier Communications. Is that going to Shantae to speak about? Okay, first I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay, Rosie and Kent. And Shantae, would you speak to this motion?
Sure. So as a part of our E-rate program, we want to award a bid to Frontier Communications to provide the district's digital transmission lines. So this helps to facilitate our wide area network, and so that network connects all of our sites. So the district complex to all of our sites, plus transportation. The total cost of this contract is $439,596. However, since it is part of our E-rate program, it is 90% discounted. So the impact to the district is $43,959.60. This is already budgeted in our general fund and our technology education budget.
All right, any questions or comments?
Yeah,
All in-
we'll take a discount anytime we can.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This passes unanimously. Item 7.10, purchase of 6 new replacement school buses. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Jose and
Second.
Kent.
That's a hard one, but I'll say it.
And to this, I believe, Shantae, you're speaking as well?
Yes, so last year, the Transportation Department, along with Business Services, came up with a 5-year replacement plan for some of our school buses. They are prioritized by age and mileage. So due to age and mileage, we have to replace certain buses at certain times. Over 5 years, we plan to replace 30 buses. This will be the second purchase of 6. We completed the first purchase in last fiscal year. So these will be 6 diesel buses, and the total cost is a little bit over $1.3 million. Now, this is part of our LCAP, and so it is budgeted in our LCAP plan, in our unrestricted general fund, but it's part of our LCAP plan.
Okay, I see Tiger's not here, but, okay, I had one question looking at it. All right, so for a 70-passenger bus, the total ended up being $196,000 for all the buses, or each bunch, actually. But for a 42-passenger bus, it was only $184,000. My question is, for $12,000 more, why didn't we just get all bigger buses?
Well, the 42-passenger bus are for our special education students, and so they are equipped in order to accommodate our special education students. And so we need those smaller buses for that purpose.
Like a
Our larger buses do not have the same equipment.
Oh, okay. 'Cause I figured, hey, for a little bit more, you know, I can get the Cadillac instead of the Chevy, so that kind of deal. Okay.
There's nothing wrong with Chevys.
Any other questions or concerns?
No, I just want to point out that we have had discussion on this, and it's important to realize. My question was, why aren't they electric? And we did find out that from Hemet, that electric buses just aren't carrying it right now. They're breaking down. If it's real cold, they don't start. They don't stay started and all. So that was a concern, but we can't have. This last week proves that it does get cold up here occasionally in the high desert. We can't pick kids up because the buses won't start and stuff. So that was a concern, but it's been addressed. So I don't know what's going to happen in 2035 when we can't have gas or diesel in the state of California, but we'll figure it out then. So.
Yeah, and the routes, we'd be limited to such shorter routes with some of the buses
Right,
and how that would
okay.
work, just because.
And if anybody has questions, there's lots of districts that are piloting these things, and they're, like Lancaster, they're finding out there's good things and there's bad things. The range is this. Oh, but we can have, or we're going to have, but we don't have it right now.
Yeah.
So you go only so far, and better have a long extension cord, because when the battery goes, the battery goes.
Here's the interesting thing. Hammond also kind of explained one day that they didn't have any power, so they couldn't even charge the
And
buses.
that was
so
another
it was like
thing that
didn't
they
even
said.
run.
They said the power was not, what it should be, and
Well, they're charging
they're
stations.
they're not Teslas yet, okay?
Correct, yeah.
Well, I had a student who asked me, why don't the buses have solar panels on top of them to help charge them while they're moving? And I told her she should invent that, because that's a good idea.
Well, I think the other thing before you guys vote on this too, and I think it's important for the transparency, is that this money's been encumbered. So it doesn't change anything to the thing. It's been encumbered. It was approved to the LCAP. This is the aspect of the implementation of the plan that was built to replace buses. So it's money that's been encumbered already.
As well, Barbara, you shared with us that the state has slightly increased our transportation money that we
Right, it's
receive.
the first time in 30 years, actually, especially for the desert area. It usually goes to the metropolitan areas, which is Los Angeles, San Francisco, places like that. But it's the first time they've given us money. And then we're working on getting even more money this year, if we can.
All right, so I will call for the vote. Aye?
Aye.
Aye, all approved unanimously. All right, item 7.15, we all have our ballots for the CSBA Delegate Assembly, and we did get some recommendations. So I will make a motion that we vote for all 6 of these candidates.
Okay.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Barbara. Any comments or questions?
I don't know most of them, but I trust Barbara, so she says yay, so I'm gonna.
These are the people I work with.
Okay, so I'll vote for him.
Yeah.
All right, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes unanimously. 7.16, our second interim financial report. I will call for a motion.
So moved.
That was a tie, so I will give that one to Kent and
That's fine.
second to Jose.
That's right.
Next time I'll reverse them. And I will hand this over to Shanti, and we have a packet here.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. presentation. Chris? Okay, good evening. So tonight I'm presenting our second interim report. So the second interim report, it shows our activity through January 31st, and it gives us a projection to where we believe that we will end at the end of the current fiscal year. Next slide. So quickly, I'll just go over some of the budget assumptions that we use in developing these projections. So our average daily attendance, right now we're projecting at 10,153.80. This is not a change from the first interim, but you guys may recall during the first interim, we did increase this quite a bit over our adopted budget. And so those numbers are holding as of P1, those numbers were holding, and so we expect to be able to meet this average daily attendance. Our current enrollment is 11,352, which is also an increase over last year. And our unduplicated pupil percentage is 80.05%. Shout out to all of the sites, teachers, and administrators who helped us to get all of those income verification forms in. It was quite a push this year, but they did a very good job, and so that brought us to where we are now. And then lastly, that number there is just our economic reserve number. So that is just represents the 3% that we must have in our reserve in case of economic hardship. Next slide.
What do we have right now? I'm sorry, what did we have right now? I didn't hear that.
Oh, no, so the former site, no, I'm sorry, that just represents the 3% that we need. That is not our reserve number. We'll see that in a couple slides.
Okay.
So this slide just kind of shows us the history of our enrollment in ADA over the last several years since 2019-20. And so what we can see from this is that our enrollment has definitely been going up, with the exception of the 2021 year, which is really, just a result, the fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic. So since the pandemic, we have seen our enrollment continue to grow. What we're also seeing in this current year, we're seeing a rebound of our ADA, which was not so evident in last fiscal year. Our ADA percentage was down a bit, but we're seeing a rebound of that ADA percentage, and so that's just what's represented here. And then, so just to reiterate, we have enrollment as of our reporting period of 11,352, and we're projecting ADA of about 10,154, which is right about 90% ADA. That's the assumption that we use. Next slide. So as we're going, through these exercises, we just want to be, just kind of cautious of what we're seeing and what we're hearing out there. We know that that the economy is currently weakening. That's quite evident. As of about a month ago, our projected state revenues were $3.3 billion below the governor's estimates, and so we project by the end of the school year that deficit will be $5 billion. The LAO's office, or the legislative analysts, they have some concerns. They think that the governor's estimates were too optimistic. But on the other hand, the LAO is forecasting a higher COLA than what the governor proposed in January. So they're projecting a COLA of about 8.4%. In January, the governor projected 8.13%, and so the 8.13 is what's used in our projections tonight. Although there's quite a bit of concern about where the economy may go in the next several months or next couple of years, obviously, it's still worth noting that the governor has not recommended any withdrawal from the rainy day fund, and so although we have a projected budget shortfall, we're not at that point yet. Next slide. Okay, this slide, I'm sorry, very tiny, I know. But we just wanted to give you a snapshot of what our general fund, both restricted and unrestricted, look like. Next slide, please, Chris. What I want to point out, and you guys have it in front of you, what I want to point out is that based on our projections, at the end of this year, we will have an ending fund balance of $46.6 million. Now, I do just want to caution, though, these numbers and projections were done before our tentative agreements were approved tonight. So we will see some adjustment in those numbers, although we do plan to mitigate those cost increases by using as much one-time funding as possible. So just to be transparent, though, we will see a change when it comes to when we come to present the budget in June. We'll see a slight change to our reserve levels and our reserve percentages because we would have implemented those changes by now.
So just to, in a way by transparency, the $46 million, what was approved in the AB 1200 was $16 million. So that takes 46 down to 30. And then what you're talking about here is to take that money, the one-time funds, and pay as much of, say, the off schedules and potentially some of the on-schedule increases and put it into another account, right? Or you're going to commit the money through the committed funds, knowing that still continues to be one-time funds. It just delays the use of the one-time funds by another year. So what's not on there, is subtracted on there, is the $16 million that has to be submitted through the AB 1200 to the county. And then also the class sizes also will have an impact of the fluctuation of what that economic, will do too, is about how many more teachers we're going to add as a result thereof of the 25. So it's still kind of in this thing of letting this dust settle here for a minute, exactly what this will play out to look like.
Okay,
So I don't want everybody to gasp, it's $46 million. That's what it is.
Yeah. Next slide, Chris. Can you please go to the next one as well? Okay, so what I'm showing you here, this is our multi-year projection, but right here on this slide, it kind of breaks down what that ending fund balance really looks like. So the 3% reserve, you can see that 7.2 million, we have that in there. So as far as undesignated amounts, though, our undesignated amount is $34.7 million, or 17.42%. Now that's our, our current amount prior to us implementing the effects of tonight's salary increases. And as you'll see, if we look 3 years out, our projected undesignated reserve is nearly $60 million, or 29.7 million. I also want to point out those numbers that are in the kind of dark orange there. Those are amounts that we reserved in our reserves for the new middle school. So as we have discussed, in prior closed sessions, we've just gone over some of the projections, what we think the impact to the unrestricted general fund will be from the middle school. So we've incorporated that into these numbers, and so these numbers do reflect those amounts. I think what it shows, and what's most important, it just shows that we are fully capable to meet all of our obligations. We're meeting our state reserve. We're keeping our reserve levels healthy, and we're also able to open the new middle school and implement these salary changes. So that's just what this picture tells us. Now, we do expect, after the implementation of all of these things, that we'll see that third year out, we'll probably see that ending reserve balance decrease by about 7% to around 22%. Next slide. Okay, so this slide and the next slide is just a comparison, and you guys can follow along in front of you, a comparison of where we are at second interim compared to first interim. The major change that you see up at the top, that $2.3 million decrease from LCFF, don't worry, it's not a decrease in our revenue. What it is actually a reclassification. So it was reclassified down to state revenue, and that represents the new transportation dollars that we've been talking about. We just had to reclass it. We had it booked in the wrong place. So you also see an increase in our federal revenue. So that's just an adjustment that we've been making with our one-time funds. As our plans change with our one-time funds, we adjust those budgets, both revenue and expenses, to reflect those changes. We have some changes in salaries and benefits. Again, this is a combined comparison. So those changes are mostly related to, again, our restricted funds. The big decrease that you see in supplies, that's because when we first develop our budgets, we book all of our carryover in our restricted funds to an account that's within our supply categories. So over the year, and as we know how we're going to spend those funds, we have to reallocate that out. So part of that went down to services, and then and then part of it went to services, and then later on, if you look down below capital outlay, so part went to capital outlay, part went to services. Our capital outlay budget has been changed and tweaked, and again, this is mostly for our restricted, mostly for our RMA fund. And so that really kind of represents the work that we've been doing primarily to get middle school number 3 up and going. Because although we had a plan coming into the year, we were doing a lot of work because it was going to open as another facility, but we've really had to kind of ramp up that spending since we're now opening a whole new middle school campus. So if we just go down to the ending balance below, so I'm sorry. Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry. He went to the next slide already. That's fine. What I want to point out, if we just look down to our undesignated down below, so we do see a change in our undesignated from first interim of 1.7 million. And again, that's just a result. I'm sorry, Chris. Next slide. And back. Oh. There, thank you. So that again, that is just a result of us continuously reviewing, analyzing both our plans, refining our projections, and presenting the most accurate data that we can. Our Fund 17 reserve, there's no change there. We're still expecting to have about a little bit over 3.9 million at the end of the year there. Next slide. Okay, so now this just kind of brings us to what our next, what needs to happen tonight. So as a result of this, we're saying that we do have a positive certification, which means that the district meets its financial obligations in the current and the 2 subsequent years. Next slide. Our next step is for you, the Board of Trustees, to approve this positive certification. And then right after this, immediately in the next couple of weeks, we will go into budget development for our 23-24 school year. And again, I will reiterate, when I come back to you in June to present our adopted budget for next year, we will also have the budget, the new projections for this year, which will incorporate all of the salary changes in it. So you guys will get to approve and see those numbers for one final time. And then lastly, we will prepare to close the books for the 22-23 school year. Next slide. Are there any questions?
Just one, and it was kind of an observation.
Okay.
On the information that was on the board packet, okay, it showed a 1.3% decrease in benefit cost. Now, was that correct, and what caused that?
You said
I should have written
information-
down the page and all that stuff, but it was one of the final,
Are you the reports that are attached to the board?
The
Okay.
reports that are attached to the whatever.
Okay, and so that is mostly represented by the fact, I think we discussed before, that we are not. I'm sorry. Was it in this year or next year? I'm sorry.
It was
it
493,000
for
this year.
For this year. Okay, so when back at the first interim, when we reviewed all the positions and we made several changes to positions, what we still had to continue to do was go ahead and clean up the benefits that were related to those positions. And so that's why you would see a decrease in those benefit amounts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you explained that. I'd forgotten that too, but you explained that earlier, that you had positions out there that you guys were budgeting for, but weren't being filled and stuff like
No
that. And so
position.
that would be where the decrease would come from.
Well, right. Well, and that just shows the continued work that we had to do. 'Cause although we may have closed out or removed some of those positions, there's continued work we had to do to really true up our benefit costs to reflect all of those changes. We did as much as we could prior to the first interim, but some of that work is just going to be continuous as we progress through the year.
And Kit's right, you did talk about that, but I didn't connect A to B when I was looking at the charts.
Well, I just, again on this, and we've been in this 43 years. Jose's older than I am, so he's been here 44 years. But,
Yeah,
but,
right, okay, OP1.
but I appreciate the fact that on the 3rd year out, we're not sitting there saying we're going to go bankrupt. That just never happens in this district. We can have $72 million this year on the ending fund balance, and 3 years out, we're going to be bankrupt, and you're not portraying that. Thank you. We appreciate the honesty, so thank you.
Thank you. You know, we're making every effort under the superintendent's guidance, obviously, but we're making every effort just to be as transparent as we can and to reflect what we know. Now, we know all these numbers continue to change, so I'm not
Daily.
one to say, hey, it's perfect. They will continue to change, but I will try and come and explain, you know, as we progress through these through the years and through the projections.
All right, thank you for that
Okay, great.
Thank you,
presentation.
Shanta, appreciate that.
This time I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that passes unanimously. Item 8.1, expulsions.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Rosie and Jose. Dr. Yee, will you speak to this item?
Yes.
I can't say much.
I lost where we were.
8.1, expulsion.
Thank you. These were the 4 students that we talked about during closed session.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's about all you can say.
That's all I can say.
I'll say more.
All in favor?
Aye.
This passes unanimously. 8.2, rejection of claims. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
That was Jose and Barbara. And is this going to Shante to speak about?
Yes, so this is just another one of our standard procedures as claims against us come in. They are reviewed by both by Deshaun Dickinson, our risk manager, as well as our JPA. After investigation, you know, we deem whether or not there's any merit to the claims. And so this is just one of the claims that we deem have no merit and that we need to reject this claim.
All right, any questions?
Nope.
All right, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes unanimously. We'll now go to our information and discussion items. Conference requests, the educational study trip request, textbook adoption for AP US History, the Williams Settlement Report, second quarterly report, and administrative regulation revision, the first reading. Any questions about any of those or concerns?
No, there was the one that I think that the 2 schools were gonna go for the overnighter for the contest. Was that one of the
Oh,
conference?
that's for
requests?
Skills
Study
USA?
Yeah, Skills USA. And I just think that's fantastic. We're giving the kids the opportunity and to go and do multiple days at something and compete in the skills and stuff like that. So I'm excited about that. I think
Yeah,
it's
that's
great,
pretty cool.
great opportunity.
If we get a chance, they're down in Ontario.
Yes,
And we need to ask this, when they're gonna be performing, so to speak.
we can
'Cause
go
I went
down
down
and see.
there last year on a Friday and they said, oh, we're doing all of our stuff tomorrow. So I got to see some robotics kids working on their stuff, but it wasn't like they were in action.
Okay, Business Services Division, would you like to give your staff report, Shanti?
Yeah, I just really have a really quick update. You know, there's not much else to say after I've been talking tonight. So you guys have approved the tentative agreements tonight. And I just really want to acknowledge my fiscal services staff because there's a lot of heavy lifting that goes into actually, you know, getting these paid out to people. I especially want to thank Stephanie Felix and Blanca Tweed. They have taken the lead. They've taken the lead within our office within the last week or so to really start to download and work on this data. Like I said, it's a lot of data. And it's very tedious, but in order for us to get, you know, the over 1,000 people paid their retro payments, that's the work it takes, and I just want to thank and acknowledge them.
When do you anticipate the retro checks will go out?
So we have a kind of phased approach that we're taking, but so everyone will see their 5% increase and their 5% on schedule on their next paychecks. So for classified, that means March 31st. For certificated, that means April 1st. So that's the 5% increase and the 5% retro back to July 1. And so then our staff will continue to work on the 5% off schedule, and we plan to have the 5% off schedule reflected on the June 30th checks for classified, July 1st for certificated. And of course, since we have approved these prior to next fiscal year, All of the next 5% that they're going to receive for 23-24 will be reflected on their first paychecks of the next fiscal year. And
Which
then
is August?
August for certificated, July for classified staff. And then we do have an approach next fiscal year. We're going to pay the 5% off cycle. We're going to pay it in 2 payments. We're going to split it about 6 months apart. And so we do plan to actually communicate out to the district these plans as well, so everyone knows the status.
Right. And next year will be the first year that we won't have to talk about retro checks at board meetings.
I'm sure the staff will be quite pleased.
We can go back to tech talk with Dave.
Well, Carl, like you said to us, it's nice that our family, our employees can plan for what they need to do for their families. They can know how to budget and how to anticipate the costs that they have. So this is really forward thinking, and I know you and your team have done an exceptional job. Stephanie, thank you very much. Thank you, all of you.
And I think the other important factor is too, it's the ability, the trust between the district and both associations, and we didn't even close out the final fiscal for the following year, because it's not fair to do that yet. It's just fair to start it, you know, and you got to, right now we're in a phase of just letting the dust settle. You know, you get a lot of expenses out there between the middle school and the class size reductions and the other things, and so you got to let that, it's like buying a home, you just let the dust settle for a minute, make sure, you know, everything that's projected, and, you know, we've agreed to come back to the table and meet and confer, you know, by first interim. So it's a living and breathing document. It's budget ebb and flow. And so the conversation is never a one and done, and never feel like, phew, see you guys next year, you know. It's really an ebb and flow document where you constantly, the collaborative spirit of how we're going to put the money, right? Where's it going to go, and how do we make working conditions better for people and compensation, and it's just the constant communication is important.
Thank you. All right, Ed Services, Dr. Yee.
All right, good evening again. I will keep my comments brief this evening, but I wanted to thank the board just for approving all of those items for this evening. These are the programs, and that's going to really increase and enhance our students' experiences, so I want to thank you for that. Also, too, you know, as you heard tonight, we did get the planning grant, and that is something to be very proud of. And we look forward to really working with our community schools task force. And Fran was a huge part of that, so I know he's very humble, but, you know, it was definitely a very collaborative effort. And we look forward to bringing back to the board just how we're going to spend that $200,000, you know, to really get this going. And then, of course, plan on applying for the bigger grant. In addition, I want to thank Mike, too. We do have 84 teachers that will be leaving tomorrow to the Good Teaching Conference. And 84. 99 signed up, but 84 actually submitted everything. 85. And actually, Mike actually called over, and whatever connection that he had, because we weren't able to go because we're not CTA members. And so he, I don't know what he did, but he got Rebecca Cook permission to go ahead and attend as well. So she will be joining our teachers there to have, I know it's going to be a great experience. So I just want to thank you for that. And that just speaks to the collaboration, just the relationship that we have. And it does mean a lot, so thank you.
Be right up here,
And that is all I have this evening.
Can you share with us how much is that planning grant for community schools?
200,000.
Okay. And you did acknowledge Fran. I want to acknowledge him also because I need to share with you that he and I attend many CTA events. We're both on state council, and he is constantly in tune with what's going on, asking questions, leading the charge. He is very close with David Goldberg, our soon-to-be elected president of CTA, and he really has put his heart and soul into everything with community schools, not because it's something other than it will help kids. And he himself grew up in a background and environment where students needed help, and he gives and pays forward every single day. Fran, thank you very much.
All right, there you go.
HR, is this Mike or is this Carl?
We'll let Mike go next month. No, I mean, we've talked about all the HR, you know, things throughout the meeting, so.
All right. Legislation. Barbara, what can you share with us?
Only that we're working on all the new people that are there to make sure that we communicate what we need in legislation. And then we're also talking to the governor as well.
Barbara,
That's
thank
it.
you for all your hard work. You're an advocate for all of us and mostly for our students every day. Even though you're a retired teacher, they're still in your hearts and you really do fight for us to bring back money. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's true.
Whether it's in Washington or Sacramento.
Sacramento
Or
or the
even here
county.
in Victorville.
In the county.
Thank you. All right, board comments. I'll start with Jose.
All right, these will actually be kind of brief. Well, first thing, I was lucky enough last week, I did a field trip with the Adelanto High School auto program, and we went to the Peterson Car Museum down in Los Angeles. And it was great, and anybody that ever thinks you can't take 40 high school kids and get them all on the same bus when they come home, you're highly mistaken, because I know Mr. Mendoza and a lot of other teachers make it work, okay? And if anybody needs a chaperone sometime, let me know. I don't mind. I like going with the stuff, and a lot of times you can't do your trip because, well, we can't let the teachers go because we don't have subs. Okay, well, you know, I'll do it. All right. Okay. The next one, I was really surprised when the students said that, you know, there was trash around Hook. Now, I don't know what could have happened, but whenever I go visit a campus, Hook is always the one that looks like pristine. You know, if somebody misses a trash can, you know, Art or Carlos or somebody is like right on top of them, there's a trash can, put it in there. So I was surprised to hear, maybe it was the wind or something like that, huh?
The wind,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll blame the wind.
Probably was.
And lastly, for anybody that hadn't been, you know, following the paper, you know, all of our sites, there's athletic teams did really well in the CIF playoffs and that. Victor Valley took second place in soccer, and the Victor Valley Wrestling, they were I think they were second or third this year, so it was kind of a down year, all right. And Adelanto, they did well. Silverado, they had basketball that did real well in the playoffs. And one thing, please, the athletic directors, if you guys do something good, you know, even if you don't let everybody know, at least let me know, because I like bragging about you guys, okay? So, but we don't know. And as you know, sorry to say this, but the daily press doesn't always cover some of our stuff. And if we don't see it in the paper, then we don't know about it. That's it.
All right, thank you. Kent.
We did a couple things. Rosie and I were able to go to Victor Valley High School and do a tour there, and that was really enlightening. And the CTE stuff there is just
Amazing.
man. I mean, if you haven't been there, go take a tour of Victor Valley High School and see their CTE program. It is. I taught there for 36 years, and my jaw just dropped when I was there. I was amazed at what they have there. Fantastic. So shout out to Victor Valley High School for their wonderful CTE program and all that they've got going there. Also, most of us were able to go to the State of the City along with the superintendent. And I just want you to know, the city is making some great inroads too and doing better. But I was so pleased to see some of our old students. Liz Becerra, I had her, and she
Mayor
made her
Pro
kids
Tem,
take me
yeah.
too. They didn't want to, but she made them take me as a teacher. And she is now on the city council.
Mayor Pro Tem.
And she's Mayor Pro Tem now, and that's exciting to see our old students do it. Keith Metzger is the city planner.
manager.
And so we've got a lot of our old kids that are in key positions in the city, and they're doing well, and it's really nice to see that. So again, to the teachers, to administrators, to classified, everybody, thank you for training these kids and getting them prepared to take leadership positions in our city and elsewhere. They go out. They go out and they go different places, but those are the ones just here. I'm very grateful for that, and I'm grateful for Tanya left, but okay. But I'm still grateful for Tanya. But even if she left, and Mike also, I'm glad you guys are communicating with Carl, and I'm glad that communication is there. It needs to continue to expand. We need to do better, but where we have gotten to from where we have been has been tremendous. Jared, thank you as a negotiator. I know how difficult it can be, but you've got to be happy. Yeah, so this is nice. So I want to thank all the people involved in the negotiations. And if it's been easier, that's good. That's the way it should be. And we should. Oh, there's Tanya. She comes back now. Okay. Tanya, thank you. Love you, girl. You
He
know
was
that.
talking
and
nice about
appreciate
you. You
everything.
missed it.
Yeah. So,
You missed it.
anyhow, so just
It's recorded.
we're going in the right direction. We've got a lot of ways to go before we get where we want to be. And I don't, and as was said earlier, I don't think we'll ever be a perfect district, but we can be better and better and better, and that's what we're aiming for. So that's my comment for tonight.
Thank you. Barbara,
Barbara?
that's you.
I don't have very much to say. I just feel like we're doing very well. And right now, we're just going to make sure that we can get our literacy up and our scores and everything else that we are doing. Hopefully, when we do put people at the new school, it will be people that are in tune with some of the things the challenges that we have and that we need to accomplish. So that's one of the things. And then one of my students was here tonight from Hook. So one of the girls that were there was my second grade kid. They all grow up, of course, and become who they are.
They were high school kids.
But I just like to say it's good to hear what kids are thinking and how they're thinking. That way we can kind of measure ourselves by what we need and what we need to do. Many years now we've been working on Wi-Fi, special ed, and mental health for kids and transportation. So hopefully with the things that we were talking about last month, we will help keep the money we have and not lose any of the money that is going to be coming to us. So that's what we're working on right now.
Thank you. Rosie?
You know, you're right, Barbara, about the kids. One of the kids that I coached in Little League is now retired from SoCal Edison, and he's now a coach.
See?
He's now a track coach at
They're
Valley
everywhere.
Union High School. So, yeah, it makes you feel a little old.
It does. It does.
I'd like to, first of all, congratulate Mike on his new title. We look forward to working with you. We know you're going to do an outstanding job. I'd like to thank our avid students from Hook Junior High School on their presentation. See that they left, but that's good. They probably want to get their principals here. Thank you. That was great. Appreciate it. I attended the blood bank at Adelanto High School, my wife and I. I haven't given blood since 1990. And my only thought was, don't pass out in front of the kids. Because I hate needles. I'm a diabetic, and I check my blood all the time, and I go every 3 months to get my blood checked. But I just hate needles. So that's why I've never given blood. However, I thought this was a good opportunity to see how this program worked. So my wife and I went up there, and I got to tell you, the patient care students were awesome. They're just awesome. I was just so impressed with how they worked with the students that were given blood. They weren't allowed to take the blood, but they assisted the folks there from the blood bank, and they did a great job. I'd like to acknowledge Nadia Gonzalez. She was just super with the kids. Plus, she also gave us an Adelanto shirt. I told her I'd only wear it if I went to Adelanto because I'm a Victor Valley High School graduate. I'd like to thank Chris Casino at Victor Valley High School for taking us on a tour of the campus. It was, like Kent said, it was very impressive. I mean, my gosh, the things that they have in those shops. I mean, a jet engine. It just and the things that when you talk to the students with what they're doing and what they're learning, it's just amazing. It's amazing the job that our teachers are doing out there. You really have to go out there and see it firsthand to really realize what a great team we have, and they're just awesome. After we got done with our tour, I stopped at the house of Kelly Williams, and I had a chance to meet her and Tamara Aruda. You know, those two ladies there just do a super job in getting grants for us to get this equipment, and it was just very impressive to talk to those two young ladies. What a great job they're doing. I also attended the Rotary meeting with some of my fellow board members. I want to thank Carl on the job he did on his presentation on the updating the Victorville Rotary on our district. He did a great job highlighting what goes on in our district. I think it's important to get our message out to the community and to tell them what great facilities we have here and what great teachers we have and students. And I think Carl's doing a fine job of that. Other than that, I think that's it. Thank you all for being here, and I too appreciate the job that the work that's going on with Carl and our unions. I think it's great. It's really nice to hear all the positive things that are going on. For the longest time, you dreaded to hear what was going to be said, and it was bad. But congratulations for the job that's going on, and let's just hope it. Like I said, you know, we'll never be perfect, but it gives us a chance to keep getting better and better. So thank you both, and thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Rosie. I'd also like to thank our two associations, their leaders. Thank you both for being here, but also making the facilitation of the negotiations run so smoothly. It's really a testament to working as a team and a family, and to Carl for being part of that team, for looking at the budget, being transparent about it, looking at the expenses that we need, the priority that we're putting on students learning by lowering the class size across the board for our core classes as well as in high school for the classes. So the result will be the benefit to our students. So thank you all for that, all three of you. Thank you, Ed Services, for all that you do to support the teachers, ultimately supporting our students. Thank you for sending so many to good teaching. To clarify, I'm going on my association, but I will be the 85th teacher in our family to go. And Mike, thank you for making sure that we can send additional people to that, because it's such a worthwhile conference. Shanti, thank you for your team working so hard. We've never had a turnaround for retro check so quickly. We've never had all the information and transparency, looking at 3 years out. Like Kent said, it's not doom and gloom, it's realistic, it's what we expect, and you're making sure that we're financially solvent, but in addition to making a livable wage, recruiting and retaining our employees, expecting the best from them, we're opening a new middle school. That is amazing. And again, Brett, thank you for all your hard work doing that, because it takes a village to do that. And all of you that are here, thank you so much for your time and effort putting everything forth for our students, because they're the reason that we're here. Carl, your turn.
I do just kind of like to echo the sentiments of the board, you know, with the negotiations, and thank both VBTA and CSEA negotiation teams for the reasonableness and really the student-centered focus for how they represent the adults, but at the end of the day, they're really representing, you know, the students. And both associations clearly have a perspective of a student-focused and a student-centered mindset as they take care of their members at the same time. I also had an opportunity to recently go to a lunch where Senator Wilkes had honored Miss Dew during Black History Month for her 60 years of contribution to the community, where he presented her with the proclamation. So, Ms. Dew, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And continue to look forward to the progress that we're going to be making with the new middle school. You know, and everything else that entails to it. It seems simple, but it's really complicated, and I appreciate extended cabinet's work to make all of those things happen, because when you really stop and think about the planning, even though the facility has been there, we're really turning around a whole school in 6 months. From the beginning, and the facilities was being worked on, but everybody's really excited about it, and so just so much that goes into that is the work of so many people. So that's all I have for tonight.
All right, well, do you feel a need to return to closed session?
I do not.
All right. At this time, I will entertain a motion
So
to
moved.
adjourn. There was no doubt that was Kent and Jose. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Drive safely tomorrow.